I don't know, grift to the right, which makes no sense. I still work at the Young Turks. Like, grift from what? Like, what am I making money off of, if anything? Like, I've really upset some of the more loyal audience members that I've had throughout the years. But I just want to do a better job. That's it. And I want to be fair. I want to be accurate. And I want to meet ordinary people who have no power in society from a place of compassion. The way I made assumptions about Kyle Rittenhouse, you know, like I f***ed up. I really did. And so whatever, it's okay. It's okay to be hard on yourself when you've acknowledged and identified like what you got wrong and how it had an impact on real people's lives.
Ana Kasparian is now going after her own fans for trying to cancel Ana Kasparian, trying to get her kicked off of the Young Turks. Once again, this time the push seems to be a lot more serious. There's you know, the Young Turks host that resigned live on a stream that I did a video on a few days ago. Go check that out if you haven't already. And then that guy also calling for mass unsubscribes of the paid memberships from the Young Turks. A ton of other people calling for the same thing. Things are getting crazy over there. And Ana Kasparian is just fed up with the whole thing. She's now lashing out at her own audience over at the Young Turks for these attacks against her, which are really dumb attacks. Like, they're just stupid. Like, you're only attacking Ana Kasparian and mass unsubbing from the Young Turks because you disagree with a couple of things that she says. She's not right wing. She's not MAGA. She's going in that direction. But if you have any sort of common sense in your brain, you are going in that direction. The only people who aren't are people who are actually brainwashed by a cult that is the woke left. Let's get into this clip here where Ana Kasparian lashes out at these woke idiots at the Young Turks for attacking her.
You know, I want to be clear about one other thing. I'm not a MAGA person. Like, I'm not a big Trump supporter. I want to be fair in how I assess his second term. I don't think I was fair in the first term. I think I bought into a lot of the fear mongering and stuff about him, but he is selling a bill of goods that does not appeal to me. So I want to be clear about that. And I think that there's this big mistake right now among the left in general that oh, she is writing off everything she previously believed, especially on policies. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to I don't know, grift to the right, which makes no sense. I still work at the Young Turks. Grift from what? What am I making money off of, if anything? I've really upset some of the more loyal audience members that I've had throughout the years. But I just want to do a better job. That's it. And I want to be fair. I want to be accurate. And I want to meet ordinary people who have no power in society from a place of compassion. These are not people in Trump's administration. These are ordinary Americans.
I don't know about you guys, but I do believe her. I believe that Ana Kasparian is being genuine, that she is just trying to do the best job that she can and taking her job very seriously, because it is a serious job. And we saw that. We saw the consequences of people like this in these positions saying very dangerous things about Donald Trump. You know, I think the assassination attempts, plural, one of them was a lot closer than the others, but there's plural attempts, and who knows about the ones that we didn't even get to know about that the FBI or Secret Service thwarted before they even happened. That is a result of people, I'm not saying Ana Kasparian, but people in positions like Ana Kasparian has. You know, it's a result of shows like The View. It's a result of shows like Bill Maher's show, like all these people who spread woke propaganda, who spread hatred, who spread lies about Donald Trump. They inspire these people to go do things like that. So it's good. And I appreciate, even though Ana Kasparian disagrees with a ton of things I say, same thing with her, vice versa. I appreciate that she is trying to do the best job possible and taking her job seriously, because it is a serious job with serious consequences. And I think that's proven, it has been proven by the fact that there has been these assassination attempts against Donald Trump.
American voters, and we should look out for one another as much as we can. At the end of the day, you know, ordinary Americans should see each other as Americans, who should have the right to their own opinions, their own preferences, and all of that.
And that's something that the left doesn't want you to do. I mean, if you say that you don't like to date a certain race or something, they lose their minds, and that should just be normal. Everybody has preferences, right? This is another clip. This one is probably the most nuclear out of all of them in this interview, where Ana Kasparian really goes after the left wing. Let's check this out.
Said, I had one job. You know, I'm not a parent. I don't have a million other gigs. My one job is to report on the world, on politics, on the culture. And I messed it up. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, this is what the career path I've taken is what I've pretty much put all of my energy into, right? I've prioritized that above any other thing I could do, including hobbies. Like I grew up dancing, ballet specifically from like 3 to 19, right? And dancing is still a hobby of mine. And so like, but I didn't prioritize that even though I loved it. I didn't prioritize having children, nothing. I just wanted to do this one thing because I was passionate about it. Growing up, I, would watch Barbara Walters on 2020 every Friday night. And I just like really idolized her and what she got to do for a profession. And at some point I started to realize like there were specific.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We're really close to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Specific stories. So I wouldn't say everything I've done I regret, but very specific stories that I covered and how I covered them, I regret deeply because they were negative stories about private Americans who were like caught on tape, acting poorly in the middle of some sort of tantrum, or someone who made an off-color joke or whatever. And like these stories always led to the same analysis, sometimes inaccurate analysis because we didn't have the whole story. We didn't have all the details. And the analysis was this person's a bad person. They should be fired. It would direct our large audience toward hating them and thinking of them as like, nefarious figures. And I have a lot of regret about that because I did get a lot of those stories wrong, number one. But even if I had all the details and I didn't report the details of the story inaccurately at all, what I was sowing into American society was so toxic and so disgusting. And yeah, I am hard on myself and I deserve it. Like I want everyone to know, like Megan, I don't feel bad for me. Like I fucking deserve it. I totally do. What did I do to those people? They're private citizens. They didn't have big platforms to defend themselves. Okay.
This is why I believe Ana Kasparian and don't believe Cenk Uygur, because you'll never see Cenk Uygur admitting something like this. He will never do it. He'll never sit back and say, yeah, I probably should have reported on things a little bit differently because I ruined a few lives just for the sake of playing into the woke cult, getting clicks, having that, the audience capture thing is real, right? Where you make a video on something, towards a certain ideology or whatever. Let's say you're making a video and you're trying to pander towards the woke left or just capture that audience a little bit. Then you get a positive feedback. You get a lot of views on that video. You get a lot of likes, whatever. You're like, oh, I should make more content like this. And then you make more content like that. And then you get more positive feedback, more views, more likes. And so every single video, you're now trying to one up that last video. And if you're making videos and the main indicator of views and likes going up is how woke the video is, how much it plays into and panders to the woke left, well, what do you do to one up the last video? You make it more and more pandering to the woke left. So you get more and more woke every single video to the point where you're just making videos and you don't even have any morals or beliefs anymore. It's all just like, how can I get views? How woke can I be? Which in return will get me more views. And that's probably what happened to the Young Turks. That's probably what happened to Ana Kasparian. The difference is Cenk Uygur will never admit this. Ana Kasparian is blatantly admitting, I was wrong. I was wrong about a lot of things that I said about Donald Trump. It was toxic, the things that I said about Donald Trump. It was toxic, the things that I said about other Americans, other people. Cenk Uygur will never admit that. And that's why I think Ana Kasparian is genuine. Another big reason why I think she's genuine is because she started this heel turn maybe like a year and a half into Joe Biden's term. This wasn't like, oh, we lost the election. Now I'm gonna switch sides. It wasn't like that. It was, we're at the top. We have the president in power. The Democrats won. And now Ana Kasparian has a change of heart where she's like realizing that she's done all these things wrong. That's completely different to Cenk Uygur, who was crying on Patrick Bet-David's live stream the night that Donald Trump won. And then the next day he's tweeting about how he's so optimistic about the future, even though he lost the election. Completely different. That's why I believe Ana Kasparian and not Cenk. Let me know in the comments what you think, though.
Okay, but are they really?
I'm disgusted with myself.
Okay, but wait a second. Were they really? Who are we talking about? Are we talking about like Covington Catholic? That whole
I never covered that. Luckily,
okay, so you didn't do that one.
No, like I think about Amy Cooper. I think about the way I made assumptions about Kyle Rittenhouse. Like I fucked up. I really did, and so whatever. It's okay. It's okay to be hard on yourself when you've acknowledged and identified like what you got wrong and how it had an impact on real people's lives.
I agree. I think it's showing maturity, showing growth. I think we should all kind of learn from that too, because the right wing is not always right all the time. I try to call people out on the right, and people absolutely hate it whenever I do that. But I refuse to be a victim of that audience capture. I refuse to just be brainwashed by the right. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm never going to be someone who supports foreign aid, and that's going to be consistent from Ukraine to the Middle East. Whereas there's a lot of right wingers who are like, yeah, shut down all aid to Ukraine. And then you bring up the Middle East and they're like, oh no, we must fund the Middle East. We must fund that war. I'm never going to be like that. That's what happens when you're a victim of brainwashing. If you're going to support foreign aid, if you're going to supporting our allies, then you should be consistent across the board. You should want to support Ukraine. You should want to support Israel. Whereas me, I'm consistent. I don't want to support any of them. Why the hell should we do that? Until Russia is threatening the United States or one of our allies, why are we fighting this war? We're not helping Israel. I don't want to say the country's name too much because you're not even supposed to criticize them online, but we're not helping that country in the Middle East, Ben Shapiro's favorite country. We're not helping that country defend itself. It's going on the offensive, and we're sending them a bunch of money for doing it. At least in the Ukraine situation, we're trying to help them defend themselves, quote unquote, defend themselves, when in reality, we're just saying that. And the politicians are bought out by weapons manufacturers and they just want to keep the war going as long as possible. You guys already know all this stuff, but I'm consistent and I refuse to not be consistent just to give in to the audience capture or the brainwashing, even though people get really pissed off whenever I say these things. And Ana Kasparian is getting to that same point where she's like, I know the Young Turks fans are going to get pissed off at this, but I'm going to say it anyway because I believe it's right. It's the right thing to do. Let's check out this other clip here that also she really shreds the Democrat Party, the Young Turks fans. Let's check it out.
Blind was the best way to kind of describe where I'm at right now, politically speaking, ideologically speaking. And it's because of where the two dominant political parties currently stand, whether it's the culture of these two political parties or the policy stances they pursue, I just feel that I don't quite fit in anymore, right? And so a lot of my previous policy preferences remain, but, especially when it comes to the cultural elements of the left, generally speaking, broadly speaking, I just don't want to be part of it. I just felt that it was beyond toxic. And in fact, a lot of the policies that kind of ground me politically, I felt were being neglected. And in lieu of those important, policy questions, whether it be economic or healthcare wise or whatever, everything that we were getting from the Democratic Party was either this elitist, we're entitled to your vote because the other side is terrible, or let's just hyper focus on our identity differences and how unbelievably different we are from one another and how the root of the problem is white people, right? Like it's just, I felt.
Damn, I never thought I'd hear Ana say that. I'm surprised more people don't come to this realization. I have a couple of friends who came to this realization. And I think people in media, they're just not incentivized to do it. So they're not going to talk about things like this on the left wing. But what Ana Kasparian just said is it's spot on. Like the whole entire strategy of the left wing to get votes, of the Democrat Party to get votes in the last two elections has been, we're not Donald Trump, vote for us. That has been the strategy. And it worked. Joe Biden got elected. Whether or not you think there was some nefarious stuff going on, Joe Biden got elected. It worked. A lot of people voted for him. A lot of my friends who now are Trump supporters, hardcore, voted for him, voted for Joe Biden. It worked. We're not the big bad boogeyman. Please vote for us. We're entitled to your vote, like Ana Kasparian put it. It's correct. And it blows my mind that more people don't have this wake-up call that Ana Kasparian had. Although I do think people who are outside of media, who aren't financially incentivized to push this narrative, to push the woke left narrative, I think they did have that wake-up call, and that's why we saw what happened in the 2024 presidential election.
Less and less welcome in the party that tends to, agree with me on some of these policy issues, but had neglected those policy issues, and all I was getting was the negativity. So I just felt like there was also at the same time, an alleged realignment of working class voters toward Trump. I wouldn't say toward the Republican Party. I think Trump is very unique in kind of positioning himself as, a pro-worker, billionaire, which is really fascinating. But I just feel discombobulated with the current political landscape. And I do think there's a realignment. I'm curious to see how this all plays out and where it all ends up. I don't know. And I'm not going to bet on either political party. So I'm just kind of unaligned.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel the same way, but there's no doubt that the right wing aligns a whole lot more with what I believe. Sometimes the things that the right wing says makes me lose faith a little bit, when it comes to foreign aid stuff or when it comes to certain topics that I don't really want to discuss too much here. But I feel her on that. I think she probably feels it a whole lot more than me because the left wing is so insane that if you have any sort of common sense,
unaligned.
You just don't belong. You just straight up don't belong. Let me know in the comments though what you guys think about Ana Kasparian really going after the woke left, really going after the Young Turks fans who are trying to cancel her. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Ana Kasparian versus the Young Turks situation.